Good day everyone! In our today's lesson, we are going to learn about regular and irregular verbs. So before we get into our lesson today, you need to know what is a verb, right? So can you tell me what is a verb? Yes, you got it correct. A verb means the words we use to describe an action that we are doing. So for example, sleep, clean, sit, run. So those are the verbs, right? So when we look at the verbs in past tense form, we can categorize them into two, which are regular verbs or irregular verbs. Alright, let's look at regular verbs first. Regular verbs. The verbs that form past participle with D or ED and does not change its form. For example, the verb clean. If you take the verb clean, when we change it to the past tense, we will simply add ED at the back. Alright, so it will clean became cleaned in past tense. Alright, so the verb does not change its form means the word clean remain the same in the past tense form and we only add ed at the back. Here we have three groups in regular verbs. So the first group, we add ed at the back of the verbs to make it in past tense form. For example, watch, watched, clean, cleaned, start, started, learn, learned, arrive, arrived. So if you look here, all the verbs here have added ed at the back to make it in past tense form. So those are the verbs in regular verbs category. Alright, now let's look at the second group here. Alright, the verb ending with Y, replace it with I and add ed. So let's look at the example here. We take the verb cry. So if you look at the verb cry, it is ending with the consonant Y, right? So what we have to do is we replace the consonant Y with I and we add ed at the back to make it in past tense form. For example, cry, cried, marry, married, study, studied, apply, applied, carry, carried. Alright, that's all for group 2. Now let's look at the group 3. Alright, verb ending with E at ed. Alright, if you look at the group 3, all the verbs here are ending with the vowel E. Alright, if it's ending with the vowel E, we have to add D only to make it in past tense form. For example, the word hate. The verb hate is ending with the vowel E, right? So we will only add D at the back to make it in past tense form. For example, hate, hated, like, liked, believe, believed, close, closed, move, moved. Alright, those are the three groups in regular verbs. Now, let's look at the irregular verbs. Okay, irregular verbs means the verbs that changes its form totally or remain same in the past participle. Okay, here they are saying the form will be changed totally or remain the same. Alright, for example, the form totally changing means the spelling will change and the pronunciation will change. Remain the same means both spelling and pronunciation will remain the same if we change the verb into past participle or simply saying past tense. Now Now, let's look at the groups in irregular verbs. Honestly saying, there are a lot of groups in irregular verbs and we will be focusing on only 3 groups, alright? So the first one, spelling remain the same, pronunciation remain the same, alright? So if you look at the verbs below, for example, put. So the words are the same in present tense and past tense. They will not face any changes. For example, put, cost, cut, let, hurt. So the verbs remain the same in both present tense and past tense. So that's for the first group. Now the second group, they will face the total change, which means the verbs will change its form when we change it to the past tense. The pronunciation changes and the spelling changes too. Alright, let's look at the examples here. The first one, bring, brought. So the verb bring changes its form, the spelling and pronunciation when we change it to the past tense, where it becomes brought. Same with the other verbs here. Find, found. Say, said. Win, won. Have, had. So, you have to remember that the second group, it changes its spelling and pronunciation and it have the total change. Alright? Let's look at the third group here. This group is a bit special, alright? So, the spelling of the verbs in group 3 remain the same and the pronunciation changes. So, if you look at the verb read, the spelling is same in both present tense and past tense, right? But the pronunciation change. Alright. In present tense, we say read. What about the past tense? Yes, you got it correct. We say it as read. Read become read in past tense. Alright, the spelling remain the same but the pronunciation changes. That's about the third group. Alright, so I hope everyone understood about regular and irregular verbs. Okay, the main thing you have to remember is regular verbs means it will have D or ED at the back, alright? So, for irregular verbs, the form changes. You have to remember whether the spelling or pronunciation changes happen in the past tense form, alright? So, that's all for today. Thank you everyone.